कि आप इससे ये सेंटर में पॉइंटर है ऐसे डाटा के लिए, और ऐसे ऐसे आप नेक्स्ट कर सकते हो। वेरी गुड, ये लो,
नेक्स्ट कहाँ से हो सकता
ये
है?
यहाँ से नेक्स्ट
ठीक है,
सेंटर, इसी के ऊपर एक पॉइंटर है रेड।
ओके। हाँ, yes,
उस वो अटेंड कर लिया था एसपी जैन वाला जो सेशन था,
मैंने पिछला किया हुआ था ऑलरेडी,
अच्छा पिछले साल
एलुमनाई
का,
जो नहीं इस साल
इन्हीं का है जो हुआ।
पहले किया
अच्छा
था
ठीक है,
उन्होंने एक बार।
गुड। वो 427 क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो अपने फाइनेंस से?
हाँ
वेरी
वो
गुड,
किए
बस वो
हैं।
उससे अपने कंटेंट हो जाएगा, बाकी सारा कुछ 90% यू आर रेडी, बाकी ऊपर वाले जाते हैं। चलो,
So today I'm going to discuss key roles in finance. So finance is very important for any business, for creating value, for risk management, for making important decisions. So if we are going to classify finance into four major categories for this presentation: capital market roles, corporate finance roles, risk and audit roles, fintech and hybrid roles. Starting with capital market roles. So these roles basically deals between companies and investors and usually involve valuation, creating financial models, and executing deals between investors and the company itself. So, starting with investment banking as one of the major capital market roles,
आप सबको देखो, ये सारे आपके स्टूडेंट्स हैं इस टाइम, यू आर एजुकेटिंग एवरीवन।
Okay. It involves advising companies on raising capitals and managing complex financial transactions such as merger, acquisitions, launching an IPO. So, major responsibilities of an investment banker start with building financial models like DCFs, LBOs, and then it requires creating complex presentations for their clients as well, assisting in deal negotiation and ensuring that they are doing due diligence, that they are being compliant of any legal situations. So some of the industry leaders in investment banking are Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and some of the Indian leaders are Aventus, Kotak Investment Banking, Axis Capital. Moving on to the next role, that is equity research. Now, equity research analyzes publicly listed companies for how they are performing. Their responsibilities include ensuring how they are earning, how they are performing in the market, whether you should buy their share, hold, or sell, and they publish these reports on a regular basis to keep the investors informed. So some of the industry leaders include UBS, JP Morgan Research, Goldman Sachs Research, and some of the Indian leaders include ICICI Securities, HDFC Securities.
आप लोगों ने जिनका एक्सपोजर नहीं है इन फील्ड से, उनके फ्यूचर यूज सेशन देखने हैं हमारे आईएमएस के यूट्यूब चैनल से, जिसका जिसमें इंटरेस्ट है। व्हाट डज इट डू, फिर वो आगे और डिटेल में जा सकते हैं इंटरव्यू में। व्हाट इज द रोल, व्हाट डू यू थिंक, हाउ डू यू सूट दिस रोल, विच कंपनी यू वुड लाइक टू वर्क, उनमें से कोट करना है जो उनको आती है कैंपस में, 2 कंपनी, फिर उसमें कौन सा रोल, ये उसमें क्या करोगे, आपके कौन से ट्रेड्स हैं जो उस इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर के लिए अच्छे हैं। तो उस तरह से आप आंसर दोगे, जितना क्लैरिटी से आंसर दोगे उतना काम हो जाएगा आराम। दे वांट फुल क्लैरिटी ऑफ माइंड, नो कंफ्यूजन।
Coming on to sales and trading. These roles focus more on trading in the secondary market, that is between investors, with equities, bonds, derivatives. So, responsibilities of someone working in the sales and trading market would be to execute client trades between investors, provide real-time market commentary, uh, price derivatives, maintain client relations. Some of the industry leaders here are Morgan Stanley, Barclays in India, Kotak Securities, Edelweiss, ICICI Securities. Coming on to private equity. Now, private equity is some firms invest in mature companies to improve their operations and then exit with a higher value. So, private equities responsibilities of someone working in private equity would be deal sourcing, looking for companies they can invest in, market mapping, again creating valuation models, conducting deep due diligence, improving the portfolio of the company they have invested in. So some of the industry leaders are BlackRock, Blackstone, Carlyle, Apollo. Uh, and now moving on to venture capital. Now venture capital is different than private equity in the sense that it invests at a very starting stage of the company. It comes with high risk, but there is also high return in it. So key responsibilities would be as a venture capitalist would be to meet the founders, listen to their startup pitches, recognize how high growth opportunities and invest in those. And support the startup growth of a startup by mentoring them, uh, hand holding of the startups. So some of the industry leaders are Sequoia Capital, Tiger Global. In India, Peak XV, which is part of the Sequoia India, Excel, Elevation Capital. And lastly, in capital market roles, portfolio management. Portfolio management involves constructing a portfolio of different instruments, financial instruments like equity, debt, to for investors. For example, mutual funds. There are equity mutual funds for high growth, debt mutual funds for stable returns. So, key responsibility of someone working in portfolio management would be to build asset allocation strategies, to conduct market research, to keep a track of the market, how different instruments are performing, and to modify the portfolio in case of market changes. Some of the major industry leaders are BlackRock, Vanguard, and in India, HDFC AMC, SBI AMC. Coming on to corporate finance roles. Now, these roles
एक बैक करना, इन्हीं में पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट का एक और, जैसे हाई नेट वर्थ इंडिविजुअल्स होते हैं, 100 करोड़ जिनके पास है, दे कैन गो टू दिस काइंड ऑफ कंपनी, दे कैन टेल देम ओके एडवाइज अस. So our some of our pass out students who did MBA finance, they worked with Aditya Birla Capital in the similar roles for 4-5 years. They are now vice presidents in some other companies, advising high net worth individuals how to invest money. और इसी का एक सबसेट या कह लो, या पैरेलल चीज कह सकते हैं, हेज फंड्स लाइक डी शॉ. तो हेज फंड्स का प्रिंसिपल क्या है कि इन यूएसए दे डिक्लेयर सम रिटर्न कि इफ यू इन्वेस्ट इन आवर हेज फंड्स we will give you some, say, 9%, 10% return, etc. In USA, the interest rates are very low. If somebody keeps his money in savings, जैसे इंडिया में 7-8% हमें मिल जाता है एफडी पे, वहाँ कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, 1.5%, 1% मैक्स. तो they tell people के we have given last year 9% return or 10% return on whatever you money you parked with us. You gave it to us for a hedge fund in our hedge fund investments. Now what do they do? Their game is, they, out of their whole kitty what they have, they invest in adverse trajectory having funds. Like they have made analysis, when there is a fall in the stock markets, which other commodities increase, like gold, real estate. So they diversify macro level. If they have 100 as a portfolio, out of that some they would have invested in long term assets, long term investment point of view, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year horizons. Some they keep on playing every day also within the stock market, again sector wise. So they want to balance. If there is a crude oil price, if they have invested in crude oil, they know what is the commodity which moves inverse to it also. So they will invest something there also. So this is how hedge funds work, macro level. Okay, करिए. आपसे पूछ सकता है, फाइनेंस वाले से जरूर पूछ सकता है, व्हाट डू यू थिंक हाउ द हेज फंड्स वर्क. तो एक मैक्रो पिक्चर आ गई. व्हाट इज हेजिंग पूछते हैं आईएम्स के इंटरव्यू में. ये नहीं कहेंगे हमने तो लुधियाना से बीकॉम किया, हमें नहीं पता हेजिंग क्या है. तो आपका फॉरेक्स है, मैं आज एक्सपोर्टर हूँ, आई एम मेकिंग ए आइटम, आई एम सेंडिंग इट टू यूएसए. आई गॉट ए परचेज ऑर्डर फ्रॉम यूएसए, जो हमने एक केस भी किया था जैट में, एक्सेल राइट के वाले में, कि एक लेडी ने ऑर्डर लिया था यूएसए से, So when I took the order, that time my Indian currency was 80 rupees. Now when I am going to supply him, it is 92. So on another side, so if my buying, when I took the order 1 year back, say it was 70 rupees currency rate, but I made the item in the last 6 months, say, and when the currency rate had become from 60, say 80, so I had to buy raw material. I had to make the items in by buying in rupee. So when that item per unit cost, when I converted into dollar, my margins reduced drastically due to the currency deflation, currency devaluation. So my currency devaluated from 60 to 80. Now I had to sell out more rupees worth in terms of dollars to make that item. जब मैंने ऑर्डर लिया 60 रुपए का लिया, $1 के, एक डॉलर का पर यूनिट कॉस्ट था 60 रुपीज का। उसकी जो इनपुट कॉस्ट थी मैंने 60 के हिसाब से वर्कआउट करी, बट अभी जब मैं खरीदने जा रहा हूँ उसको जब डॉलर में पॉइंट में कन्वर्ट करूंगा मटेरियल कॉस्ट, सो 0.6 अगर थी तो वो रुपी में ज्यादा मेरे को अब सेल आउट करनी पड़ रही, तो मेरी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी गिर गई। तो अगर जो वाइज कंपनीज क्या करती हैं, हु डू अ लॉट ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन इन फॉरेक्स अमाउंट्स, जिनकी ऑर्डर आया, परचेज ऑर्डर, हमने माल सप्लाई करना है 8वें महीने 10वें महीने, तो दे डू हेजिंग ऑफ द करेंसी। तो किसी के पास जाएंगे, हेज फंड, ये जो इन्हीं की कंपनी, बैंक्स में ही होता है फॉरेक्स हेजिंग डिपार्टमेंट, तो यू विल गो टू देम एंड यू विल टेल देम कि यार मैंने 60 रुपए का डॉलर है, मैंने इसको 60 पे हेज करना है। वो कहता है ठीक है, मैं आपसे प्रीमियम लूंगा, आप मुझे 3-4 रुपए एक्स्ट्रा दो डॉलर के, मैं 65 इतना खर्चा आपसे लूंगा, तो अगर फिर वो डाउन गया, ये गया, मैं आपको ये इतने पे दूंगा, इतने डॉलर आपके मैंने हेज कर दी, तो हिज रिस्क बिकम्स हेज्ड। दिस इज मैक्रो लेवल ऑफ हाउ हेज फंड, व्हाट इज हेजिंग। ये मैंने बताया आपको फॉरेक्स के केस में। नॉर्मली फॉरेक्स की ट्रेजरी जो टीम्स होती हैं बैंक्स की, दे डील इन फॉरेक्स हेजिंग, दे चार्ज ए प्रीमियम फ्रॉम यू लाइक इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम। तो दे से कि डाउन साइड अगर गई, तो अगर 62 तक, 63, 64 तक गया, तो हम आपको 64 का, उससे नीचे भी चला गया, 60 पे भी चला गया, 80 पे भी चला, आपको मुझे सिर्फ 65 के हिसाब से आज पैसे दे दो, 5 रुपए का, वो अपना रिस्क कैलकुलेशन से करेंगे कैलकुलेट, और जितना आपने ज्यादा करना होगा 65 की बजाय 62, उतना प्रीमियम आप ज्यादा दोगे। इस तरह से मोटा मोटा मैक्रो।
फ्यूचर्स का भी यही बेस है ना?
हाँ, समथिंग लाइक दैट।
Should I move on?
Yeah, carry on.
So moving on from capital market roles to corporate finance roles. Now these focus more on the internal health of the company, how the company budget its finances, what are the company plans, and what were the results. Starting with corporate finance itself, it manages the internal financial strategy, analyzes business decisions, and allocates capital within the company for different operations. So, what are the key responsibilities? First, to prepare annual budgets and business plans. Then, to conduct return on investment and business case evaluations. Manage the working capital of the company, ensuring that the cost controls are in place. Supporting the strategic initiatives of the company like expansion, pricing, how the company is investing its revenue, and overall improving the profitability. Moving on to financial planning and analysis. This is little more focused on preparing future forecasts for the company and supporting leadership and strategic financial decisions. So, some of the responsibilities of a person working in this role would be to create a variance analysis, so a comparison between what was budgeted in the beginning of the year and what actually happened, forecast revenue, what are the margins, what are the cash flows of the company, preparing dashboards for the financial scenario of the company, doing market research and impact on the finances of the company of those. Moving on to treasury. Treasury focus more on the cash flows and liquidity of the companies, where the cash is coming from, bank loans, the credit lines, and how to manage the cash supply systems of the company.
पीछे चलना बैक पे। अब अगर कोई पूछ ले फाइनेंस, व्हाई यू वांट टू डू फाइनेंस, व्हाई एमबीए फाइनेंस, बच्चा आप इधर ध्यान नहीं दे रहे, क्या करते हो, क्या फायदा फिर उनका प्रेजेंटेशन देने। सो योर रिप्लाई शुड बी, सर आई थिंक फाइनेंस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट function for any business, because the finance role starts even before any brick is laid in the business. The financial planning, everything starts from financial planning. तो नॉर्मली एक कंपनी जैसे हमारी भी करारो इंडिया, वी विल फर्स्ट हायर ए सीएफओ, chief financial officer, then CEO, etc., etc. Both the persons have equal weight, because everything moves starts from financial planning. 5 years, what will be the projected capex, what type of money, sources and allocation of fund statement. फिर आएगा पैसे का अरेंजमेंट होगा, तब आप जमीन खरीदोगे, तब आप ब्राउन फील्ड से उसको ग्रीन फील्ड से ब्राउन बनाओगे, फिर उसके ऊपर फैक्ट्री लगेगी, फिर वहां पे कैपेक्स लगेगा, फिर वहां से मटेरियल बनेगा, डिस्पैच होगा, फिर आप मॉनिटर करोगे क्या चल रहा है क्या नहीं चल रहा है। तो द आंसर फॉर एमबीए फाइनेंस, दिस इज गुड वन, दैट सर फाइनेंस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मत बोलना क्योंकि कोई पता नहीं प्रोफेसर ऑफ मार्केटिंग के नाम। तो इन माय व्यू सर, फाइनेंस इज आल्सो इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन, because I have seen that, I have understood that financial planning is the starting point of any business, even when no brick is laid in the business. So it starts from financial planning, then execution, then financial monitoring, etc. So it interests me a lot. And all the decision, watch, finance is also important watchdog for the company. As per plan, where are we? How much is the variance? How to cover it? Marketing needs to be pushed. So that is why MIS. This MIS is very important. Where the sales orders are reducing, the cost has gone up from say $100 per unit to $120. So the operations guy has to be pushed. So this is how company needs to evaluate logistics costs, etc. against budgets. So this is very important finance. और कैश फ्लो, लिक्विडिटी मैनेजमेंट, ये सब तो हम पढ़ सुन के बात करके चुके हैं पहले वाली प्रेजेंटेशन में, कि कंपनी में लुक प्रॉफिटेबल ऑन पेपर, बट बिकॉज ऑफ लॉन्ग डिलेड receivables, and already the company is at a point where it cannot raise more funds and has a huge statutory dues to be paid in next 2-3 years. The company may have to change hands or may have to sell equity. Okay.
Moving on to risk and audit roles, these ensures accuracy, compliance, and protection against the general financial and market risks. They monitor areas like credit risk, market risk, internal controls of the company, and financial accuracy, that the financial statements of the company show a true picture of the company.
There are risk management. Carry on.
Starting with risk management. Risk management identifies, measure, and mitigate risks such as credit risk, market risk, and operational failures, and regulatory risk as well. So key responsibilities would be to build different risk models for, as discussed above, for credit, market as well. Perform testing, detailed analysis of different risks, different
scenario analysis, what if, sensitivity analysis comes in it, like price sensitivity. If we were making a model for say 12 months or next 60 months, if there is a fluctuation of $20 per ton in our finished good, how much it will have impact on the profitability, annual profitability, EBITDA, etc. So $20 plus sensitivity of the price on the profitability, minus $20, what is the impact? Similarly, consumable costs, if we have taken inflation of say 5% on whatever we purchases we did last year, as compared to that we did a 5% inflation accounting for this year planning, next year again 5. So if there is a increase of say 10% or 5% more there, how much impact it will have. So all these are very interesting things. I'm not non-finance guy, but they all interest me a lot. Always are they interested. It's very, very, very powerful. So even as a purchase head, when I used to send a recommendation to my management that we want to buy this lot of, it used to be 110 crore one deal. So I used to make a comparative table, what offers we have. Then I used to discuss with marketing, किधर किधर कौन सा यूज होगा, क्या साइज है, कैसे है, कितना रेट है, कब आएगा, कैसे कितने महीने में यूज होगा, उसमें कंट्रीब्यूशन डॉलर्स, मिलियन डॉलर कितना आएगा इस 40,000 टन से वी यूज टू मेक, सो दैट द डिसीजन मेकर्स नो कि अप्रोक्सीमेटली 3-3.5 मिलियन डॉलर हम इससे कमाएंगे. When the prices go in our favor, sometimes in one quarter you can earn, in one quarter once we earned $100 million in Philippines, almost 800 crores. Because when we bought those items which were coming to us from Ukraine, Russia, etc., they were $540, and by the time they were coming, they were $800. The prices had gone up and down, up, basically. Carry on.
As sir said, it's very important to, as a risk manager, it's very
Yes.
important to keep track of those market
Market
changes
changes.
and include them in your analysis as
Help.
part of your analysis.
True.
And see how your company will be affected by those risks.
True.
So as it says, monitor exposures and regulatory limits. There's any change in the limits of the company. Now budget has been here. So
Yes.
any changes in the budget that will affect the company, you have to create an analysis of that. Report those metrics and report those metrics.
Risks are normally broken into first macro level, internal, external. So internal are normally transactional risks. Somebody making some wrong entry in the computer, and because of that a supplier gets more money. And people are very smart enough. Once in our Nigeria plant, per unit price was agreed for a per piece, and a piece was of 8 meters of pipe. When he built us into eight units of the, this kind of games can also get played. It was a set of 8 for which the unit price was there. So he while booking the raising the sale invoice, he made it for 8 items, same rate per unit, and it was caught later on in the internal audit. So sometimes such kind of things, to keep a check on these transactional risk, internal auditors are placed. Carry on.
So moving on to internal audit only.
Yeah.
So internal audit keeps a check on the internal controls and processes of the companies to ensure everything is in place and there are no laps there. So how internal audit works is starting by conducting a process walkthrough by talking to the management who are conducting that process, testing the internal controls, identifying any weaknesses and recommending solutions, ensuring compliance with the policies as well as diligence to the laws, and reporting any findings. A lot of the companies have internal auditors themselves, but a lot of the companies outsource internal auditors as well. So some of the industry leaders there are EY, KPMG, PwC. Moving on to external audit. Now this is statutory audit, which is required on a compliance basis. So for example, a publicly listed company has to release their financials to the public. So they are required by law to get their financials audited by an external auditor. So an external auditor performs detailed check of the company's financials by performing vouching, verification, conducting control testing, just like an internal auditor, performing substantive testing, examining the financial statements for compliance, identifying any material misstatements, and if there's a gap, then report it in their audit report. And finally, issue an audit opinion. So some of the industry leaders for it are Deloitte, EY, PwC, and KPMG. Finally, coming on.
समय का आपने किस में करने का सोचा है MBA? हाँ, तो ये सारे ना पढ़ लेना, फ्यूचर यू वीडियो सुन लेना, और एकदम क्लियर हो कि EY करता क्या, अभी पता है आपको क्या करना. हमारा इस बात में EY वाज लीड ऑडिटर. इंटरनल ऑडिट भी हमने कहीं उनको कंसल्टिंग असाइनमेंट्स भी दी थी. सिक्स सिग्मा वाज आल्सो, दे वर हेल्पिंग अस. They are helping us with SAP implementation. EY and Wipro. Wipro was for Six Sigma. सो दीज कंपनी मतलब ईवाई का इंटरनल ऑडिट था हमारा पक्का, बड़ी ट्रांजेक्शन से पहले सब फाइल यूज टू गो टू देम, दे विल ओके, इट्स एज पर पॉलिसी एज पर कंप्लायंस, ऑल आर ओके, रिलीज द परचेज ऑर्डर, इस तरह से चलता है काम। तो दिस इज वन पार्ट ऑफ इट। सेकेंड इज स्टैट्यूटरी जो बताया उन्होंने, फाइनल ऑडिट चेक करना। चले
Moving on to final part of this presentation, fintech and hybrid roles. So these combine finance with technology and data. They focus on digital products, automation, and process optimization. Uh, Starting with fintech. So as an overview, they develop finance solutions using tech. For example, UPI apps, brokerage platforms, lending systems. So the key responsibilities here are user research, R&D, product feature planning, collaborating with tech, and launching the product itself. So some of the industry leaders would be Zerodha, Paytm, the products you use in your day-to-day life for finance basis.
कई बार आता ना, यू कैन ट्रांजेक्शन, यू कैन योर रूटेड टू रेजर पे, तो वो फाइनल स्टेज पे पेमेंट से पहले गेटवे है, कार्ड आपका नंबर डाल दिया या यूपीआई से जाके आगे रेजर पे इज ए पेमेंट गेटवे, दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स है यार।
Lastly, business analyst. A business analyst bridges gap between finance, operations, and technology teams to improve processes and implement different tools. So the key requirements would include gathering requirements of the company, mapping the processes, automation, as well as dashboard creation for finance purposes. So industry leaders here are Deloitte Digital, PwC Advisory, and JP Morgan.
वेरी गुड, एक्सीलेंट, गुड। अब नेक्स्ट किसका है, किसका बात हुई थी नेक्स्ट? हाँ आ जाओ, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। इससे आप नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट कर सकते हो, ये सेंटर में पॉइंटर है, ठीक है, यहाँ ये ऊपर पिन दिए और फिर इसके नीचे राइट लेफ्ट है। एक मिनट, आई विल रीस्टार्ट सो दैट टॉपिक इज डिफरेंट।